Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Scott Bartlett, Coin Bartlett. Grains are mixed this morning. Feed grains higher, soybeans lower, and the livestock are mostly lower as well. Scott, let's start off with cattle. Obviously, we've been watching the HPAI headlines and movement of cattle restricted on the dairy cattle side due to that. And it is having an impact on the cattle market, isn't it, again?
Yeah, for sure. It's been wild times in the cattle markets, and certainly thanks for having me. So let's start with these cattle. Wild movements we've seen. Just a few weeks ago, we're on the way down with the bird flu news, and every day getting more stories throughout the week. That just negative tone. And then last week, pretty much kind of had the week off. There wasn't any new additions. We had a bullish cattle and feed report. We had some pretty good cash prices, moving a little higher in some areas. It was kind of back to that fundamental look picture is, okay, we've got tighter numbers. We've still got a small cow herd. We're going to start seeing smaller placements, and that's going to be the theme. So we kind of felt like we were getting some of that behind us because we have a safe food supply. Rallied really hard last week, and a lot of our old bullish tendencies were coming out based on supply. Busting above the 100-day moving average. We just had a lot of things going for it, only to enter the week this week again to get the reminder of bird flu, and that's the story that's just going to keep on giving. So we're sitting here confused and dizzy and wondering, is this going to be something to continue to worry about? Or are we going back to fundamentals? So we're really in right in this middle zone here. Not sure. How is the consumer going to handle it? Yes, we're going to start anything dairy cattle that are going to cross any state lines need to be tested, and they need to be tested negative before they can. Just the amount of testing is going to pick up to the pace that we're just going to test everything. So I'm just urging veterinarians to get on board. We need your help. The USDA is going to have more announcements on different effects of H5N1 on our cattle. So, and we're going to get very test happy, where they're not going to stop, and that's probably going to be the news that's just going to keep on giving, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like I said, here we go again, trading fear before fact, and the food supply, like you said, is safe. So from a technical standpoint, do we have to take out the recent lows? Do you think we will, or can we have cooler heads prevail here?
Yeah, that's the mark we're watching, and I wish we all had a little bit more confidence to say yes. If you'd asked me last week, I'd have said, yeah, here we go, look out, we're going higher. To all of a sudden, well, never mind, I guess we're not done. And with what you hear from different officials, and that we're going to keep dragging this story on, that's where we kind of need to hold. So it would be a scared consumer or another news story. Those headline stories are what are really flushing this market. So it all depends on that headline story, and we don't know when that's coming, if it's coming. The rumors have it usually start some of these breaks. So once you get a quick break, you're looking for it. Okay, well, what is it? What is it this time? So we're having to keep our head on a swivel and be careful. We've got a lot of risk here with the high prices of cattle. I feel like fundamentals, cooler heads should prevail, and it should go higher. But I don't know what's going to happen with these H5N1 stories. The bird flu, is it going to keep going? And my attitude that they're just going to keep testing has me a little bit scared. So I'll be watching those lows pretty close. I don't mind having to use some kind of option down there to try to protect myself from it. We could really get danced around here and look pretty dumb as fast as this market's moving here.
Yeah. And we should point out Colombia is actually banning imports of beef from the United States from at least the 8 states that were impacted by HPAI or have tested with that. But, if you look, exports this morning on a weekly basis on the beef were really pretty good. It doesn't look like any of our major export partners are really stepping away from beef here, do we?
It feels okay yet, in the beef industry. United States beef herd is not a market that lives and thrives completely on exports, but we get rid of a lot of our lower quality, type of products in beef via the export. So we need that. That is still a big part of the total animal that we need. So that was news that shook it. I don't know that that's going to, we'll have to just keep our ears to the ground. If there's somebody else that says that they want to start shutting down from us as well. But when you start talking about this food, that's what gets a little scary.
Right.
That okay, now they're going to turn away from food sources because of it. How scared do we have to get? Because I think a bigger part, even yesterday, was the fact that they tested it and found some of the dead fragments in milk. And I think that just kind of shook everybody in their boots just a little bit, just thinking, okay, now we're going to start testing food. We know that it's safe, and there's just some leftover dead fragments of some of this bird flu and milk. But if we're going to, start testing that far out, I think we'll just kind of find it. We're going to realize how prevalent this has probably been for years. This is not something brand new, but we've just started testing for it. So I think every time we talk about this food supply, you get a little bit nervous.
But remember, folks, these are dead fragments. They are not live. So just a clarification there. Meanwhile, we had steady cash in the South yesterday at 182 in the feeder market. Cash trade has not backed off there yet. So cash is still holding together.
Yeah, cash is holding together great. Bids are renewed in the South. The 182, that's steady with week ago. So there was some trade there yesterday. Getting some more trade there today. And you think, okay, maybe these feeder prices are really going to break and you can try to find some buys. That is not the case yet. They are staying red hot. Hearing Oklahoma City was pretty hot this week already. And have some guys with saying, hey, if you can get any cattle bought, last week with our head of steam attitude, if you can, in negative news this week, if you can get some feeders bought for me with my last week's prices, let's go for it. Not finding any. They are higher, trading, pretty smoky. Where are they? I think we're that tight. I think the heifers are still on feed. At some point, if we can get back to what this fundamental look is with the supply side, we're going to get going higher. So we're still going to be able to stand on that. That I think these numbers are just that much tighter, and feeders are going to be tight. Placements are going to be smaller. Next report due as well.
And the hog market down a bit. Is it following the cattle market, do you think, this morning?
Hey, I don't know. I wish that was my quick answer. I'm not really sure. It needed its correction from the first time we got over 110. Happened very quick, but some of those bullish fundamentals really never gave up. I think we still have packers that are looking for some hogs for the third week in a row. They're kind of saying, hey, got some extra hogs you can send me. I have some room for some more, which is a rarity in itself. So feeling pretty good about the cash yet. Not sure why they're so much significantly lower here. With the volatility we have, when those hogs are going to correct, they're going to correct fast. So in this $10 range, it feels, and they're moving swiftly, but I don't know if they're going to be out of the woods from the H5N1 as well. I mean, if we're going to start getting test happy, I mean, we already know that bird flu can test positive in pigs as well. So that's been over 20 years that we've known that. So are we going to redigest some news there as well? I think all longs in some of these livestock markets are probably just a little nervous, and when they want to take some profit, they do so.
And Scott, corn is up with the wheat market this morning, and wheat undoubtedly has pulled corn up to the upper end of its trading range. Can we get above those resistance levels here, do you think?
I'm not feeling super confident about it. Yes, the wheat rally is going to help us get to the top of the range on corn, but you're going to need a further rally from that to get it to bust through. So I think I'm going to use this top side of the range type of attitude, knowing that I have some sales that I need to make. Maybe I'm trying to use some of the option time value to try to start to think about protection of the next crop. So my brain's really getting geared towards that, saying, okay, I need to find some protection for the downside rather than, breaking out of the top side here. We've had some good stories. It's had the wheat that's pulled it higher. We've got the E15 that's also helping, but still unable to break through. And I think you've got this over 2 billion bushel ending stock, and we're moving on to this year's crop. We're getting it planted pretty well, having some pretty good conditions and non-threatening weather. Absolutely the case right now. getting a really nice crack at planting and moisture coming around the corner. So to me, that's going to say maybe we're going to have to slip back down to the bottom side just yet again.
Okay. And soybeans going the opposite direction. Did we just hit chart resistance there and are retracing, or is this poor exports this morning on the weekly report?
I think poor exports can kind of just go along with some of the soybeans theme here over the last several months, and I can hear a lot of producers on the other end looking for an opportunity to sell some beans. We're getting everything planted pretty well. I just had an old timer tell me yesterday this is the earliest I've ever got my beans planted. So I just thought that was an interesting note. I think we know South America just always has their foot on the gas pedal, and they're going to raise more soybeans every year. They have proven that. They've done that for the last 10 years, increased their production every year for the last 10 years. So that's going to be that risk. And I think as we're looking at a pretty good growing season ahead so far with the acres we have, I think we're gearing towards, we're looking for protection, and we're worried about the downside here on the soybeans as well. Kind of like I alluded to the corn market. I'm more worried about the downside than I am the upside right now.
All right. Yeah, maybe some farmer selling here, as you point out as well. All right. Thanks for joining us. Scott Varlick with Kooima Varlick, that is Markets Now.